I live and work in North Texas. And a question that comes up a lot when I'm showing homes is, do you think this house has foundation issues? Do you know if there have been foundation repairs? As you know, in North Texas, foundation repairs or foundation issues aren't a question of whether they might happen, but it's a question of when. Our ground is clay. We typically have months worth of drought, and that leads to foundation issues. For example, today is October 23rd. We have had no rain in October. And according to the weather forecasters, October is typically our wettest month. So honestly, that's a little scary. So yesterday, I had the privilege of meeting a foundation repair company and the buyer who was purchasing the home at one of my listings. Now, this is a home that has had foundation repairs, and the buyer had some questions for the gentleman who had done the work. So let me walk you through a little bit of what I learned yesterday. And honestly, every time I go to a home inspection review with one of my buyers, or I meet a more specialty inspector at one of my houses, I learned something. So today, let me share what I learned about foundations yesterday. Now, please remember, I am not a foundation expert, and if you have specific questions, you really should reach out to a foundation repair company because they're the best people to walk you through this. But the first thing you have to remember, which as the foundation company guy said, is your home needs to be watered. And yes, you heard me correctly. Your home needs to be watered. When you walk around the outside of your home, if you see the ground, the dirt pulling away from your home, if you see sort of like a trench between your home's foundation and the dirt, it's too dry. It needs to be watered. Now, the best way to do this watering is through either a drip irrigation system or a simple soaker hose. But the guy who came out yesterday, strongly recommended this. He said generally you need to start watering your foundation sometime about the middle of May. And sometimes you could be done by October. This is not a month. This is not a year when you can be done by October. It's still very, very dry. Foundation should also be watered during the winter. Now, if you're a homeowner, please do this. If you're renting a home, I know that your landlord would really appreciate it if you watered your foundation because that will prevent them from having issues later. So a couple things to think about on the inside of your home. And what he said was if you see a crack that goes straight up and down, that's what he calls seasonal cracking. Those cracks will open and close depending on how wet or dry the weather is. The cracks to be more concerned about are when you see a diagonal going either up or down. Typically, you'll see this around windows, or you'll see this maybe on a door frame. The other thing he mentioned is if your door is not, if it looks like it's not hung correctly, if there's a gap at the top on one side of the door or the other, that could also indicate that the foundation has moved. So those are a couple things to keep in mind. The other thing is, and if you walk around your home, you might notice that there's what looks like a crack in the brick, and this is straight up and down. This is what's called an expansion joint, and that's actually put there to help with the house's movement. However, if that crack is not straight up and down, if it looks like it's Ving or doing something like this, if it's not just a crack, like if it's not like this, that could indicate a foundation challenge. So, a couple things to remember: make sure you water your foundation, and just periodically walk around your home and see what you can see. If you start to see stair stepping through the grout to the mortar in the bricks, that could be a problem. Years and years ago, when I was on one of these inspections with one of my buyers, the foundation company that I met out there told me to carry around a quarter. And he said, if you can put a quarter into a crack in the brick that you see in the mortar, not the expansion joint, but just where the bricks are. He said, if you can put a quarter into one of those cracks, that's significant. He said, anything else, if it's just a crack, smaller crack than that, it's typically seasonal and will open and close. Anyway, just a little bit about foundations, because as you know, if you live in North Texas, this is a concern. If you have any questions, please reach out. Talk to you soon.